Randstad India Talent Pod, leading the human forward way.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Randstad India Talent Pod with me, your host, Neerja. Now, this is episode 7 and there's so much to look forward to. I've got a very interesting guest joining me on the show and of course, tons of updates and tips for you to carry forward with you from the show. So, what do you say we go ahead and get started? Let's get this show on the road.
You're tuned in to the Randstad India Talent Pod. All things Randstad in one place.
So, the pandemic swept the carpet from beneath our feet. There's no denying that. And for many of us, our professional and personal goals have changed. As a result, many people are now looking to enhance their skill set by upskilling or even take a new direction completely by reskilling. But what exactly do we mean by reskilling and upskilling? Is there a difference? To simplify this for us and tell us why they are so important for anyone looking to move up the career ladder, we have with us Yeshab Giri, Chief Commercial Officer, Randstad India, and Director, Staffing and Randstad Technologies. Now, Yeshab has been responsible for leading the development and expansion of Randstad India's value-added staffing services, which currently encompass field force, engineering, and technology roles. Welcome to the show, Yeshab. So nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Neerja. Happy to be a part of this podcast.
Now, we're talking about upskilling, reskilling. Could you tell us, Yeshab, what they actually mean? What are these terms? What's the difference between the two?
Upskilling is a term which is quite known to business. It refers to individuals learning new skills. If you look at in today's context, it's a massive shift that is caused in the workplace by technology. Upskilling also means that you are learning new skills, but also it involves a cultural shift and a change management in the minds of people who are upskilling themselves. And for me, this is a very, very important aspect of upskilling. Upskilling also requires a perspective, a global perspective. It requires you to be really agile. It has a lot of culture and awareness inbuilt, right?
Yeah.
Today in the age of technology, while you need to be good in the technology aspect of it, but people skills and how you are structured emotionally extremely important. You come to reskilling on the other hand is primarily focusing on adding to an existing skill that you have, within the role that you're currently managing or a new technology that you need to learn, right? And it simply refers to learning of new skills that's needed to either do the current job better or a different job, right?
Yeah.
So these are two concepts that's very much in vogue right now, either reskilling or upskilling. While upskilling is teaching our employees, to how to optimize their performance, I think reskilling, which is also known as professional recycling, is helping people train or adapt to a post that is there within the company or the role that they're currently managing.
Okay. Fantastic. I think I can say that I've had a very minor exercise in upskilling by learning about the term, both the terms, in fact. And thank you for that clarity, Yeshab. Obviously, very important aspects of career building in itself. But why have these two aspects suddenly become the need of the hour?
So while, we may sort of put the onus on the pandemic and the impact of pandemic, but, technology continues to rapidly change the way most organizations operate. And, in response, most of the companies and employees must, add to their technical knowledge and skill sets. This decade, 2020 to 2030, is actually known by a lot of people as the twilight zone, where, the technology is going to bring such massive change between what you see in 2020, between 20 and 2030. That was what was expected. But now with the pandemic in the last 2 years, we've seen, most of the companies being forced to digitize, right?
Yeah.
So job requirements are changing, new skills are being required, and companies are now looking to find either new talent or they're looking to sort of fill the gap through upskilling, right? And that's why upskilling has become so important. And the two words that you hear very frequently today is digital transformation. So, the digital economy, with so much of progress made in the last 2-3 years, it's sort of, we are trying to sort of reimagine the whole world of provider and customer dynamic and how goods and services are probably bought and sold. And it's the digital age. You got to be competitive, and so individuals and companies require employees with a clear learning mindset. People who can collaborate, and also someone who's got a willingness to really embrace new ways of doing things. Because I think in the past, a lot of people who sort of stuck with this is the only way it is done probably are obsolete now, right? So when it comes to reskilling, I guess if you're looking to change career paths, reskilling helps you reach your goals, and this is equally important when you look at the IT field, automation or anything. At a time when AI or advances are looking to sort of make a lot of transactional role redundant. Right. People who are in these roles today either need to upskill or reskill to be relevant. Otherwise, they see a bleak future a few months or few years down the line.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of skills, let's move on to interviews in general. Most of us, no matter how well prepared we are, we often fumble for words when, an interviewer asks us, why do you want to join our organization? So the most basic skill to have is to be able to answer questions like that. What, in your opinion, is the best way to answer this question?
Why do you work here? Yes. Yeah. Why do you want to work here? Yes, I think that's a common interview question, and I think every one of us, including me, we keep asking a lot of candidates we come across, and and I see a lot of people sort of not being very clear, either fumbling or ending up giving probably a wrong answer, and many times these answers, in fact, helped decide whether that person actually is being considered or not, right? I think why do you want to work here, right? And it's good if we sort of flip the question and sort of ask ourselves as candidates, why would this company want to hire me, right? They got to see something in me or my experience, right? So it's for candidates to sort of think, what do you have to offer that is unique to the organization, that the organization feels will create an impact, and that's why that they would probably be willing to offer the job to you. I think here are some of the few questions that maybe candidates can ask themselves. Right? How can you help the company succeed? For example, you can look at the landscape and the sector or the company that you're dealing with, and say, with the knowledge and experience that I have, particularly in this sector or domain or role, this is how I can bring impact, right, to you. Or you can, the next question that you should probably ask yourself is, what past career successes could you potentially repeat at this company? So in your previous jobs, how did you meet or exceed customer expectations or employee expectations, right? Did you really solve a major problem? What were the learnings from those, right? Did you introduce a lot of ideas that helped company either save money or boost the bottom line, right? And, so lessons that you've learned and that it's helped you create value for your potential employers. So if you could put that across to the employer saying, hey, this is what I've already experienced and this is what I bring to the table, it could be a very, very convincing argument. And maybe the third question that you should ask is also, how will you complement a company's culture? Because every company has a unique culture. And when you're hiring, there is business and HR both involved in hiring of an individual. And I think that's a key aspect they will look at. Okay, this guy may be great. He may be a great performer with a track record, but will he fit into our culture?
Yeah.
And companies are, take years and years to build a culture. They invest so much. So they would be very, very mindful of, do they fit? So the candidate's question should be, have I done enough homework on the company's culture and identified what appeals to them, what does not appeals to them, what are things that they really, really, guarded with their lives. So then can I sort of, be very clear? Can I present myself that, okay, I am a person who's been through this sort of a cultural, area, and then, I can easily fit into your structure, right? So these are things that I think really, really appeal to a prospective employers.
Okay, fantastic advice, Yashab. It sounds like it's almost a trick question. Why do you want to work here? No, the actual question is, what do you bring to the table? So that was great perspective. Can we, in fact, have some pointers on what not to say when asked the same question?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I think this is a serious. This is a sort of a landmine that a lot of people walk into.
Yeah.
Because they've not planned for that question. They sort of rely on instinctively saying something just to provide an answer to a question that is a really important question. So sometimes we hear people say that hey, I came across this job, it looked interesting, and while you're being very candid about it says that if this job had not come your way, you would probably not be here, right? So it does not show any depth that you really want to work with this organization or you want to be a part. Second, I have heard people say, I'm looking at a career growth and this looks to be the right move or a stepping stone. And I think the way to look at it is so this is a stopgap for you. Are you just here to further your career growth? So you're only talking about yourself and your career, but you're not talking of what value you can bring to the organization and how do you contribute to the organization. So I think again that's one pitfall I would say. And the other is people keep saying that, hey, I've heard a lot about Randstad, they've got a great culture, and I think they also pay well. And I think again that's a very thin answer from candidates. Companies want to be an employer of choice, right? But they don't want to recruit people who simply say that, hey, I thought you had a great culture or I thought you paid well. Because if it's only for money that I'm hiring people, then I'm probably, somewhere I read that, we should probably look at hiring revolutionaries and not hire mercenaries. So people who come for money are just mercenaries. But people who are revolutionaries are the ones who come with ideas,
right,
and who sort of own and the organization their own.
Right. Thank you so much for these wonderful insights. And, I'm sure everybody listening in, if you're listening to these tips, they're going to be super helpful to anyone that's looking to make a good impression in their interview or even otherwise. Thank you so much for joining us, Yeshab. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nirja.
You're listening to the Randstad India Talent Pod, where fun meets work.
Well, wasn't that just a fantastic session by Yeshab on upskilling and reskilling and everything we need to know about answering that one important question during an interview? Why do you want to join our organization? While we got answers to that, it is also important that we find a great place to work, given that it can be a life-changing decision. So, here are 5 green flags to identify a good company. Number 1, good reviews by employees. Number 2, high company ratings. Number 3, your goals align with the company's. Number 4, good market reputation. And number 5, positive work culture. Now, to add to that, here are 5 red flags as well. Number 1, negative employee reviews. Number 2, low company ratings. Number 3, the company makes news for all the wrong reasons. Number 4, low employee retention. And number 5, insignificant market growth.
You're listening to the Randstad India Talent Pod, where fun meets work.
Okay, then it's now time for our this or that poll. So this is where I ask you all a question, and this question will also be posted on the Randstad India LinkedIn page. So make sure to follow us if you haven't already and participate in this really fun poll. Here's the question for the day. There are always different ways people prefer to describe their interviews in relation to food. Which of these phrases have you used the most for your past interview experience? A, it was a cakewalk. B, my interview today was like pineapple on pizza. C, as smooth as a glass of wine. D, as plain as vanilla. Or is it option E, left a bitter taste? Let us know.
You're listening to the Randstad India Talent Pod, where fun meets work.
And so we come to the end of another episode of Randstad India Talent Pod. Now, we would love to hear from you, so make sure to reach out to us with your feedback, your suggestions, and your comments. You can hit us up on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Randstad India using the hashtag Randstad India Talent Pod. Go ahead and show us your support. Until next time, it's me, your host, Neerja, saying goodbye. Toodles!
This is the Randstad India Talent Pod, leading the human forward way.